Okay, so Canada has spent like the last 17 or 18 months under tariff threats from the US. Okay, maybe threat's not the best word because they have been implemented on Canada and a lot of countries around the world. And they're basically telling Canada you have to accept the tariffs, the insults, and the economic pressure that we're putting on you. But the moment Canada said, fine, we're not going to buy your liquor anymore, suddenly Washington discovers what the word fairness means. So in other words, tariffs coming from US is a strategy, but when Canada stands up for itself, it's a problem. And in this video, I'm going to show the hypocrisy coming from a US lawmaker. And she wants to initiate a probe into the discriminatory treatment of US alcohol producers. And the lawmaker that is introducing this bill, her name is Claudia Tenney, out of New York. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what party she comes from. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. We know there are some Democratic senators and governors that are questionable. But before I get into the article, I have to remind everybody why we're in this situation right now. We're in this situation because the United States government decided to tariff everyone, even the freaking penguins. But this whole situation is just about the United States strong-arming every country, including Canada, and believing that they have a right to do this because they're the bigger country. The leverage that we have is buying their alcohol, and we decided not to do that anymore. And this woman here thinks it's unfair, just like this guy right here. I'll get into more of this guy later if you don't know who he is. But sometimes you just gotta step back and take a look at the situation we're in right now. It's basically a rules for thee and not for me situation. But this article here emphasizes the hypocrisy that's going on, and I'm gonna read it out for everyone. A Republican lawmaker in Washington is firing back at Canadian provinces for retaliating against President Taco Tuesday's tariffs by banning the sale of US alcohol. Claudia Tenney, a member of the House of Representatives whose district includes parts of northern New York, has introduced a bill aimed at punishing Canada over restrictions on the US alcohol imports imposed by 8 provincial provinces. Now, I don't know whether to laugh or be angry about this. She calls her bill the Combating Acts of Our National Alcoholic Drinks by Allies Act, or the Canada Act. Like, what the hell? Now, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here because she's from New York, and she's from a quote-unquote blue state. And in the early days of my channel, I made the bad mistake and assumption that blue states, they were on our side. And when crap really started hitting the fan, I was under the assumption that, for me, myself, I would still support those states that are blue, like Washington, Oregon, California, and Hawaii. But while they might be blue, there are still people in their states, like this person, Claudia Tenney, who's on her knees bowing down to the US administration. And even though Harris won the state of New York, there's still a lot of red in this map. So I'm just venting here because no blue state is going to be a friend of Canada. Not New York, Washington State, Maine, or any other blue state. I mean, hell, look at New York right now. 3,548,552 people voted for Taco Tuesday. And Claudia Tenney is one of them. So yeah, New York can go screw it if you ask me. I know there's a lot of great people in New York, but unfortunately, your fellow citizens are ruining it for you. But the name of her bill, I mean, what does everyone think about it? She's calling it the Canada Act. I really can't tell whether or not to laugh at it or to be insulted. Anyways, let's move on. Canadian provinces cannot be allowed to hold American wineries, breweries, and distilleries hostage and attempt to ransom them, Tenney said Monday in a statement on her website. American wineries, breweries, distilleries, and other beverage producers deserve fair access to Canadian markets, not discriminatory treatment in one of our closest trading partners, Tenney said. Now, I want to point out the arrogance in this paragraph. I mean, it seems like they feel they have a right to sell in Canada, and that we have no right to say no. I mean, imagine going to a hot dog stand where you used to buy hot dogs all the time, and all of a sudden the hot dog vendor became a jerk, and you said, no, I don't want to buy from you anymore. And then the hot dog vendor basically says, you're being unfair, and you have to buy from me. And when you continue to say, no, we're not going to buy from you, they're going to go cry to their boss and try to open up an investigation against you. I hope I dumbed this down enough in case any MAGA are watching my video. But this is a clear example of rules for thee and not for me. Did I say that right? Rules for thee, but not for me. I think that sounds better. Tenney's statement does not mention what prompted the province's alleged discriminatory treatment of US alcohol, the hefty tariffs Taco Tuesday imposed on many Canadian exports, and his frequent threats to make Canada the 51st state. Oh, how convenient for you to leave those out. I mean, leaving out the fact that you call us the 51st state, and your supreme overlord put tariffs on us. I mean, that's pretty key information that you probably want to include. But I'm sure you didn't because it's going to make you look bad. Let me know in the comments below. Are you tired of the United States blaming the reaction and not the cause? Because for me, I sure am. And I always think about this meme whenever I hear this from like the liquor people or the farmers or any businesses that voted for Taco Tuesday and are suffering right now. And I'm going to give you a prime example of somebody who voted for Taco Tuesday and is now blaming us.
New data shows the Canadian liquor boycott cost the country about $500 million in revenue. Total liquor sales fell by more than 12%.
It's a terrible word, but it's a little bit boneheaded. They've lost $500 million in revenue.
I really love how this guy feels that Canada has nowhere else to buy alcohol from, and that we can only buy from the United States. If you don't know who this guy is, this is Chris Swanger. He's some CEO of some distillery thing, I guess a group of distillers. And he has openly said in interviews that he supports Taco Tuesday, and he believes that Taco Tuesday is doing a great thing for their country. But not only that, he believes that his industry should be immune to all tariffs.
The Distilled Spirits Council of the United States has been working with their Canadian counterparts, trying to convince leaders that when it comes to a possible trade war, they should leave liquor out of it.
This industry should be immune to that. Why? Because we bring people together.
So what's everyone's thoughts on this? Should the liquor industry be exempt from all tariffs because they bring people together? To me, his comments just show how selfish he is. He doesn't care about any other industry, only his. There are dozens of other industries that are more important than liquor. But obviously, he just wants to benefit himself. I also don't like this guy because he called it boneheaded. Like, fuck this guy. Now, the reason why he's so pissed off is because of this chart. And you can see in 2025 the huge drop in exports from the US to Canada. Personally, I would love to see it at zero. But I guess we have Alberta and Saskatchewan governments to thank. Let me read this part out. US exports of wine, beer, and spirits to Canada plummeted in early 2025 as a result of the provincial retaliation. The US wine industry has called for the collapse catastrophic, good, and recently published figures showing the value of its exports to Canada went from 460 million US in 2024 to 103 million US in 2025, a drop of 78%. Wineries hurt from Oregon to New York. Wine America, the National Association of US Wineries, is backing Tenney's legislation. Losing the Canadian market for our products has hurt wineries from Willamette Valley in Oregon to Fingers Lake in New York. You know what I have to say about that?
I don't care.
Shut up, I don't care.
The Canada Act is a good step to reopening the market to American wines, said a Wine America executive Michael Kaiser in a statement. CBC News requested an interview with Tenney on Monday morning, but her officials have yet to respond. No surprise there. The provincial bans, in place in every province except for Alberta and Saskatchewan, are a bargaining chip on the ongoing trade negotiations between Canada and the US. There appears to be little incentive for either the premiers or prime minister to see the ban lifted until Canada secures a trade deal that includes tariff relief. I think Wild Canoe said it best.
All of them. 100% of the tariffs. No tariffs, no threat of tariffs. Then you can have the booze back.
I honestly love this guy, and Manitoba, you're very lucky to have him as your premier. But one thing that always comes to my mind when I hear these industries suffering, your chief and commander and master sleeper has basically told Canada that he doesn't need anything from Canada. The US doesn't need anything from Canada, and that we're ripping you off. So why would anyone in Canada want to deal with your country after we hear this? Personally, I couldn't care less about the wineries in Oregon or New York. Sure, they're blue states, but I already just explained that earlier. But there's a reason why the alcohol was pulled on the shelves, and it doesn't seem like anybody in the US wants to accept why. If made law, Tenney's legislation would direct the office of the US Trade Representative Jameson Greer to investigate provincial liquor boards' restrictions on the imports and distribution of the US products. Thank God this is a short paragraph. Let's get this guy off the screen. Under the Section 301 of the Trade Act, the USTR has the power to impose penalties, including tariffs or import restrictions, if investigations find that a foreign government is engaging in a discriminatory practice that burdens or restricts US commerce. You know what I find funny is that their products aren't even that great. I mean, I never was a big fan of US alcohol. And they're basically forcing us to buy their shitty product. But even if their alcohol went on the shelves, I think they're in for a big surprise. I'm going to explain that a little bit more later. Just let me finish this off. Section 301 is the foundation of the Taco Tuesday administration's current efforts to replace the blanket global tariffs that the Supreme Court struck down in February. A USTR investigation recently determined that 60% of trading partners, including Canada and the European Union, are failing to do enough to keep forced labor out of their supply chains. Yeah, that's just another way to circumvent the rules that the Supreme Court already struck down. But back to what I was saying about whether the alcohol eventually goes back on the shelves. And it will go back on the shelves in Canada eventually. I mean, maybe after Taco Tuesday is gone, or maybe a decade from now, who knows? But eventually it will go back on the shelves. But the biggest question is actually going to be, do Canadians actually want it? Because Chris Swanger and Claudia Tenney, whatever her name is, they're not thinking about this. Because what they're thinking about is that once the alcohols are back on the shelves, Canadians can't resist it, and then we'll just go ahead and buy it. Now, when it comes to this stuff, I have a memory of an elephant. I'll remember this for the long term. I might not remember to wash the dishes or take out the garbage, but this, I will remember probably till the day I die. Which also means I'm probably never going to buy US alcohol again, whether it's spirits, wine, or their stuff that they call beer. But I'm also only one Canadian, and to be honest, I don't really drink that much. But I am going to share some comments from the GTL community and what their thoughts are on the US liquor boycott. The first comment is from Esther Vermeer. What the US failed to factor in is that the longer the boycott against their tariffs and disrespect continues, the weaker their brand loyalty becomes, the more people find new favorites. And that doesn't change just because their products come back to our liquor stores. This next one is from YTAD2. I was a regular Kentucky bourbon drinker, but I gave up all US alcohol after Taco Tuesday started the 51st state BS, and we don't need anything from Canada nonsense. That was the fall of 2024, before Diaper Don was even sworn in for his second term. Months before Ontario, in my case, or other provinces took the US booze off the shelf. I and many other people I know were boycotting long before tariffs were introduced. That was just insult to injury. It's not just alcohol. I will pay more for a non-US product, probably superior to made in the USA anyways. Travel, not a chance. This is after decades of tolerating an unfounded superiority complex from American family members and Americans in general, Republicans, Democrats, or non-political. It's the collective way they are raised and educated. Bone Spurs just grifted off the collective American ignorance. This next one is from Dinny Rose 6634. At Guard the Leaf, I will never buy American bourbon again. I found an alternative Scottish bourbon. It's $200 a bottle, but you know what? I prefer to pay $200 a bottle of Scottish bourbon than American bourbon at $45 or $50. Never again, no more American liquor and tequila rose. I make it at home now with lovely tequila from Mexico and strawberry liqueur from Italy. All the American habits I had for alcohol have been replaced, and I'm not going to go back to what I used to buy. This next one is from B-Dog-M. Holy crap me, GTL, you made me laugh so hard I spat out my drink when you said, oh no. Yeah, I kind of do that sometimes. I'm a little bit sarcastic. I don't mean to be sarcastic, but it just comes out, and especially with no scripts, you're seeing the real GTL. Back to the comment. And so you know, I boycotted America from the start, and both my two favorite alcohols were American bourbon, and I won't ever buy it again. Sucks, but I'll find another replacement sooner or later. No more market makers, Bullet, etc., etc. And I actually think that's what Chris Swanger and... what's her name again? Claudia Tenney? I don't think they realize that Canadians have choices. And even if it's on the shelves, we don't have to buy it. This next one's from Kevin. I switched to only Canadian-made and ingredient-owned whiskey. I used to only drink US bourbon. Once it goes back on the shelves, I will continue to purchase only Canadian whiskey. Bye-bye US bourbon. I used to drink almost exclusively California wines. No longer. I split purchases between Canadian and European wines now. Again, bye-bye US wines, never again. This next one is from Don L. Yell 7187. I am loving 40 Creek whiskey, local, as well as Fireball whiskey, and even if the American booze come back on our shelves, I would not touch it. It's not just a boycott. It's a new change that will now be a tradition. They have no idea how fed up we Canadians are. I am disgusted with the US and never looking back. Alright, I have a couple more and I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm a true Canadian... Oh, this is from Malone Sinclair 9201. I'm a true Canadian, stubborn and free. Once I boycott, I never return. Over my 74 years, I have boycotted many companies like Calvin Klein. I have never purchased their product again. As for liquor, Canadian, Australian, or Scotland. Never American in my life. And last one for today. This one's from DMAC IV6681. No, 878. God, my dyslexia is kicking in. I understand that US booze will eventually be put back on the shelves in Ontario, but I won't be buying any. I will do my best not to buy US goods, but grocery stores aren't making it easy. I have a cruise booked in September to tour the Mediterranean, but I planned on refusing US liquor and wines while on vacation. I'm one customer that isn't hoping that things go back the way before. I'm done with the USA. So, with all these comments that I read out from the GTL community, do you think people are going to be buying US alcohol when they're eventually put back on the shelves? Which is why these two idiots here, they're not understanding that. They're not understanding how pissed off we really are. And it's really not about having the alcohol on the shelves anymore. We just simply don't want it. One of our GTL viewers works at a liquor store in Nova Scotia, and he told me in the past that the US liquor is back on the shelves. It's the batch that has been in storage, and I guess the provincial governments have been trying to get rid of it. But what he told me is that part of his daily task is to dust off the bottles. So eventually, the liquor will go back on the shelves. My guess is probably when a Democratic president is in, and he starts apologizing out the ass. But just because the alcohol will be back on the shelves in the future, I mean, who knows? Maybe it takes a decade. It might be on the shelves, but it's up to us Canadians whether or not we want it. And if we don't want it, obviously the liquor boards are not going to be buying anymore. The biggest problem the US has right now is not the fact that the liquor is not on the shelves. It's the people who are behind making the liquor and your government, and also the brand of the USA as well. Oh, and also these two idiots right here too. If I ever had an urge to buy a US alcohol or US beer, I'll put it back down and just think about this guy on the left. So let me know your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about this new proposed bill that Claudia Tenney is going to propose to the government? I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts, so let me know in the comments below. To close off this video, I would like to thank Cindy W. from our Discord server for posting this photo from Kakabeka Falls near Thunder Bay, Ontario. I hope I pronounced that right. But I want to thank you for sharing this with the community. And I don't think I've posted a photo from this area before, so it might be a new pin on the map. Now, I know most of the casual viewers have probably dropped off by now, and it's really the loyal GTL followers and viewers that are still watching up to this point. And I do want to give everybody a thanks, because it has been a little bit of a weird, last month. Because I'm definitely getting more comments like this. It seems like people are following my content, but they'll actually have to look down on me because I'm not in Canada and I'm not a real patriot. What is a patriot? That really sounds like some American bullshit. In order to be a true Canadian, you gotta be on Canadian soil? Or you have to look down on people who actually explore, different opportunities. But this message isn't about Kenneth. I mean, Kenneth, you can go fuck off. In fact, I actually feel sorry for you for your simple-minded mindset. But I really wanted to, give everybody a thanks, everyone in the GTL community, for those that responded to this Kenneth troll and put him in his place. And especially Buster and me too. I don't know who you are. I don't think I've ever spoken to you before. But your message actually meant a lot to me. He says, Guard the leaf. Back away, GTL. The rest of us got this. You have no need to defend yourself. Give the co some love for me. Enjoy your day. Buster and Me Too's message, along with probably about hundreds of others, coming to my defense when I didn't actually ask for it, it really means a lot. And during the live stream that I had a few days ago with Josh, it really made me, how do I say it, humbled that both of our communities have people or viewers that will defend both of us. I've learned over the past year that being a content creator or a YouTuber is not easy. I've had insults from every angle. I've had death threats. I had people trying to tell me that they're going to find me and basically hunt me down. There have been times where I ask myself, do I really need this headache right now? But after seeing this comment from Busteroo and Me Too and the rest of the viewers that help defend, it actually made me realize I don't just have viewers, I have a community that's standing behind me. And taking the advice from Josh, he's not taking bullshit from anybody. So I think I'm going to start doing the same thing as well. So I want to thank the community as well as Josh for having my back when needed. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.